This is a great film and a great report. Got that clip ready? All right, Marvin, appreciate you. Let's do it. Good afternoon. I'm Steve S.H. Walters reporting for Breaking News 500 here in beautiful Vero Beach, Florida. Today's topic is the film Death Wish. Now, before we get on to Death Wish, if you haven't subscribed, folks, please take a second and subscribe. We greatly appreciate you, and we want to thank you and thank our loyal subscribers. Now, let's get on to Death Wish. Death Wish was released in 1974 based on the book Death Wish by Brian Garfield. It was directed by Michael Winner and stars Charles Bronson, Hope Lange, and Vincent Gardenia. Now, the basic story is this. Charles Bronson plays Paul ChrisG, and he lives in New York City, and he's an architect, just making a living like everybody else. He's got a nice family, and he has a pretty good job and the whole thing. But see what happens one day while he's at work, his wife and daughter are attacked. These three hoodlums are in the market. They get the delivery receipt and find the address where these groceries are going, and they break into his apartment, and they attack his wife and daughter, killing his wife and sexually assaulting his daughter. Well, they never caught these three hoodlums, but this ends up sending Paul ChrisG on this journey, and he ends up becoming a vigilante. And he ends up going out at night, basically being a target for these muggers. So these muggers will attack him, and he can kill them in the process. So who has a death wish? Well, now the muggers have a death wish, because the vigilante is out there in New York City, and he's killing those muggers. Now, for the first time, the crime has gone down, and the muggers are scared to go out themselves. Now they kind of see the fear they're put into everybody else because they know there's a vigilante out there getting him. Well, we've got a clip of Paul ChrisG, Mr. Vigilante, in action, but we've got to give you a viewer discretion advice. Are you ready for this, folks? Of course you're ready. All right, remember, I warned you, viewer discretion advice. All right, Marvin, let's do it. Roll the clip. Oh, you're back. What do you think about that scene? Woo! Well, he took care of those muggers. Yeah, let's just save the taxpayers all this money in the court system and housing these criminals and feeding them and babysitting them for another 30 years or whatever they get. Let's just wipe them off the face of the earth. Let's get rid of them. They're bad guys. They ain't going to change. We don't need them. And tomorrow's another day. I like that. Now, this film had budget of $3 million. They did $22 million at the box office. It was a huge success at the time. Everybody was talking about it. They got 1 award and 3 nominations. Now, right prior to this film, the same director, Michael Winner and Charles Bronson, shot a film in '73 called Stone Killer. And after they finished that film, Bronson said to him, "What should we do next?" And the director says, "I got this great script on my desk called Death Wish. And it's about this vigilante that goes out and shoots muggers." And Bronson says, "Do you want to do the film?" And he says, "No, I want to shoot muggers." Well, they ended up doing the film, but before Bronson got the part, they offered it to Steve McQueen. He turned it down. They offered it to Clint Eastwood. He turned it down. They offered it to Bronson, and Bronson almost turned it down. He said, "You got this character, Paul ChrisG, as a timid accountant. Let's make him an architect. Let's give him a little more backbone. We'll make a lot more money, and I'll do the part." And they agreed to that, and they did the part. Now, they had 4 sequels to this film. Along with that, there was a remake. Of course, the original is always the best. Hollywood wants to rely on remakes and sequels and stuff because if the audience likes it and it makes a buck, let's do another one. Let's do another one. Why don't we just leave the original alone, let it sit out there, be creative, and come up with another project? Well, the original is always the best, and this one, of course, in my opinion, is the best. Now, in the autobiography of Michael Winner, the director, he stated that the last scene in the film, Charles Bronson didn't want to shoot because the ending of the film kind of glorified the shooting of the muggers and the killings and all that to the audience. And Bronson didn't want to show the audience like, I enjoy it. I love shooting these muggers and killing them. So he didn't really want to do the scene, but he didn't want to miss a family dinner, and he knew he'd be running late, so he agreed to do the scene. Well, once the scene was shot and done, and the audience loved the ending, they loved that scene, everybody talked about it, people would approach Bronson and say, we loved the film, we loved the ending. Once he saw how much people loved the ending, he took credit for it and said, well, it was my idea. It wasn't exactly his idea, took a little credit for it, but that's actors. Now you can see the film on Amazon, Prime Video, a few other places out there, and it's well worth watching if you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, go watch it again. It's very enjoyable, and the way they did it all I thought was great. And I want to hear your comments. What do you think about this film? What do you think about killing the vigilante killing these guys? I mean, you know, should we give them all these rights that they got? Give the criminals more rights than the victims? I mean, that's the way things are going. Well, that's the way things are. I think it was done well, it was done good way back in the 70s, and it stands strong today. Give me your thoughts, your comments. I'd love to hear it. I'm Steve S.H. Walters reporting for Breaking News 500. Have a great day.